What's going on, people? It's your man the YB, back once again, 100%. Big shout out to the boss man, Charlie, for boosting up me man the YB coin, no doubt about it. So we got some breaking news right now. Your man's Anthony Johnston, the number one weight pumping bodybuilder, has signed and locked in the rematch against Alexander Usyk for August 20th. So let's get to the exclusive news, 1,000,000% confirmed. Here we go. Eddie Hearn and Matchroom leaked the following. Rematch confirmed. Usyk and Anthony Johnston will run it back on August 20th for the Unified World Heavyweight Championship. Hashtag Usyk versus Johnston 2. Rage on the Red Sea. As I've said, it's August 20th and it's in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Now, before I give my analysis/reaction, Anthony Johnston also made a comment and said the following. AJ, on the Alexander Usyk rematch set for August 20th, I now have my date with history set to become 3-time Unified World Heavyweight Champion. What an opportunity. A happy fighter is a dangerous fighter, and I am the happiest and most motivated I've ever been. So, there you go then. We just heard there from Johnston. Now what can I say about this? Listen. First of all, people who follow my channel religiously will know I bet that AJ wouldn't be taking this rematch until the very last day, which would have been like September 20th. So fair play to Team Johnston. They made it August 20th, but still, actually, that's 11 months. And I think it would have been a bit awkward, if Team Johnston had literally made it 2 days before. It would have looked desperate. And most likely, to be quite frank, they heard my video and thought, damn, the YB's scuppered our plans again. We best not put it on 2 days before the contract wears out. Let's do it a month before. So it but either way, people, how quick does time go? Can you believe that? It's been 11 months since he got his wig pushed back. And I'm going to blame Johnston, because at the end of the day, he's an individual. And the sport for me is no good. Imagine if basketball players or football players played once a year. It's like, what are we doing here? Or even MMA or UFC fighters. It's a real bad culture boxing's got into. And I remember, this wasn't common. I remember 5-10 years ago, every 6 months was not a lot. I remember complaining about it being twice a year. Now it's once a year. And sometimes ain't even doing that. And I just don't think it's good. I've done a little bit of boxing myself, and I can only, I've been told, sparring and training is some fraction of the actual, you can't replicate being in the ring. You can get close-ish, but the adrenaline and the whole actual being in the ring, there's nothing like it. Point, well, it's no wonder these guys like AJ look like deers and headlights and whatnot, because they're going in there once a blue moon and they're completely naked and bare. These guys like James, Tony, and even Mike was fighting until he fell off. Mike was fighting once every 2 months. And I've been to a decent level in sport, and I can tell you, when you're when you haven't been competitive under the lights recently, it's a lot more nerve-wracking, and you're a lot less able to dial in. The reason I guess Floyd only fought every 6 months, but Floyd had this really innate ability to Floyd almost looked as if he was sparring, didn't he? But Anthony Johnston ain't no Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather is really the only one who's been able to take that. And again, he was fighting bums, to be quite honest with you. Floyd was fighting bums, because when De La Hoya washed him, he retired and ran off. So let's scrap that narrative. I was about to say, Floyd's proven that you can fight once every 6 months and still be sharp. He ain't proven that. Floyd's proven you can fight people who are 2 levels below you and look real calm and look real sharp. Would Floyd be that calm and that sharp? I'll tell you this for free. Floyd wasn't that calm and that sharp when De La Hoya was smoking his pack. Oops. In fact, they were some of the most unnerved times I've ever seen Floyd Mayweather. On the ropes with his eyes wide open, like that. Honestly, go back and watch it. Floyd was on the ropes, and then afterwards you see him smile, do that thing where it's like that. But really, it's like Canelo when he fought Bivol, and he was on the ropes going, do like kind of wave it on as if he wanted more. listen, in fighting, yeah, if you want more, you start throwing your hands. You don't sit on the ropes and wave your hands like what? And think about it, if you if you want to get stuck in some more, you don't smile, do you? These guys, they get pops and they start smiling as if, oh, it didn't hurt. Well, if it didn't hurt, start throwing your hands. Oops. But anyway, I've digressed, man. Either way, Anthony Johnson, unlike Mayweather, is not fighting a complete bum. Now, I think in heavyweight terms, I mean, you man know me, I just haven't clicked with Usyk. Something doesn't sit right for me. And I feel if Tyson Fury ends up knocking out Usyk, you'll know why something don't sit right. And I'll come on here and tell you, this is why I told you I don't feel right about Usyk. He's good at cruiserweight. I don't even think he's great at cruiserweight. I think he's good at cruiserweight. But there's supposed to be, the reason I bet so much money on Johnston to beat Usyk is, I mean, we just saw Canelo, who's one of the greatest ever and all this other stuff. Some people were saying he's the greatest ever or whatever else. Even myself, I got sucked in. But either way, people was gassing Canelo, yeah, and all it took was someone of similar skill, but 7 pounds heavier, and he looked like a fish out of water. Let's be real now. 7 pounds was the difference between the greatest ever and looking like a fish out of water and losing 10 rounds. Do you understand? AJ had 20 pounds, had all the advantages. At home, 20 pounds, a real heavyweight. And he was the one who looked like a fish out of water. He was the one on the ropes and doing all sorts. So like I said, it's like, yeah, AJ's supposed to be fighting a top level dude, but is he really a top level dude? We won't know that until Fury's fought him. Now, if Usyk beats Fury, I'll come on there and tell you I was completely wrong, obviously. And to be honest, even if it's a close fight, if Usyk's able to have a close fight with Fury, I'll say I was wrong. I just don't see that. Well, I'd hate to believe it. If that ends up being the case, and I'm just done with heavyweight boxing. If Usyk's able to go in there, yeah, and go 50-50 with Fury, even if he loses but it's a close fight, then I'm done with heavyweight boxing, because it will prove that it's all back to front. These things just didn't really exist before. Yeah, again, Bivol, 7 pounds, that's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be you can't just jump up and do mad things. Now people say, oh, but YB, Usyk only went at one weight division. It's not one weight division. The cruiserweight to heavyweight is the biggest jump. It's like 40 pound essentially, because having a limit at 200, none of these guys are actually 200 pounds. They're like 240, 250. So it's one of them ones. And I believe, and that's why I wouldn't mind, and that's why I was one of the key guys saying, I want to see Joe Joyce versus Usyk. That fight was supposed to be made before the AJ fight. Let's see, before we give, I don't know how Usyk got a unification fight essentially. Usyk was gifted on a plate a unification fight after beating, or a fight for 3 belts after beating Chisora in a 50-50 fight. That doesn't sit right with me. Joe Joyce should have been in there with Usyk, and the winner of that got the fight. But anyway, Team AJ, and I remember at the time telling Team AJ, this is what you need to do. Enforce that mandatory that was supposed to, or enforce that eliminator that was supposed to take place. People forget that Usyk versus Joyce was ordered before AJ and Usyk. Oops. But Team AJ, I don't know what they're doing. Again, you know, AJ's management team are low IQ. I'm not being funny, but Eddie Hearn's clearly low IQ. Why didn't... I don't get that. Why don't you fight... And I guess maybe Team AJ thought that fighting Usyk was easier than fighting the winner of Usyk and Joyce, which it most likely would have been, wouldn't it? Let's be real now. The winner of Joyce and Usyk is a harder fight than just Usyk, in my opinion. Because if it ends up being Joe Joyce... I mean, who knows? Maybe that would have been, I don't know, scrap it either way, man. Let's get back to the point. The point is, people, I'm not impressed. The reason, YB, you're so hard, YB, you're a turncoat. The reason I'm so hard on Johnson, yeah, is this isn't like he lost to Fury. And even to Fury, to be honest, at the time at least. A year ago, don't forget, people, a year ago, we was all gassing, yeah, AJ gonna run through Fury. So even Fury at the time, AJ's got no business losing to Fury. That's how I felt at the time. Now things are different because AJ's fell off. But even so, AJ at his full potential, it should win that fight against Fury. That's my opinion. If AJ had the... If you could take AJ's head out, yeah, and put in a proper head, I think he beats Fury. I think AJ... If you can take AJ's kind of body and put in a brain who wants to get stuck in. If AJ had a Hall of Fame mindset, like a James Toney mindset, where he just wants to get in there and happy to mosh away, or a Holyfield mindset, yeah, that's great. Holyfield's a better example. If you put Holyfield's head in AJ's body, I'd back him to beat Fury. Would he beat Fury? I don't know, but I'm just saying, if I was some alien, if I had some alien tech here, and I was able to put Holyfield's brain in, a prime Holyfield's brain in AJ's body, I'd take the odds on AJ beating Fury. Because AJ go in there, tight guard, and just start moshing away. I think that's a very hard man to beat. An AJ who wants to mosh. But we ain't seen that guy. I mean, Fury even commented, again, listening to my channel, saying that AJ went life and death with Dillian Whyte. And that is something that's why I said it was not guaranteed. Before, I'd have told you, AJ with Holyfield's mind would completely mosh Fury. Well, not AJ with a similar mindset couldn't even mosh Dillian half sharp. He made hard work of his dinner that night. So maybe I'm just trying to be in love with a bodybuilder body. I'm saying one of them ones. Maybe I'm in love with the physique. I don't know. But anyway, man, listen. I think potentially, I mean, it's not AJ talk about being a happy fighter. Oh, there's nothing more dangerous than a happy fighter. Okay, AJ, you've listened to some Mike Tyson, Custiamato quotes. Great. But we've heard all your quotes. We've heard about Rayful Edmonds and all these weird things. And I've got to say this. What happened to that? AJ was talking about going gangster. But I haven't heard nothing about it since. Maybe it's because me and other man made videos and kind of said you sound funny style. Maybe he's wound his beak back in. But I don't know if it's not looking good in my opinion. Because in all quite honestness, I'd rather him have kept that energy than what we're hearing now. Oh, there's nothing more dangerous than a happy fighter. You've been happy though. That's what I never got. I've never seen AJ not happy. If anything, that's been part of the problem. Happy-go-lucky have an ass. Yeah, I've never seen a Don so big and so kind of... There's a reason he's known as the Boogaloo the Bear. Yeah, big blue fluffy belly. Yeah, that's what he's like, bottom line. I've never seen a Donny as big and as buff, but so friendly to... Innit? He's trying to be friends with everyone. Oh, yeah, take my belts. Yeah, let's hold the belts. Yeah. It's like, he's a big, friendly looking ass dude. Relevance? Well, like I said, look at the quotes a few minutes ago. What's AJ saying? I can't wait for this to become unified. Yeah, I mean, who ain't going to say that? He ain't going to come out blatantly and say, don't bet on me, I'm going to lose, because William Hill will tell him not to say that. Yeah, so the next best thing is, I can't wait to become unified. But put that to one side. My main beef is the next statement. There's nothing more dangerous than a man who's happy. You've been happy. What was it? When AJ lost to Usyk, he was happy. Oh, I'm really happy with this and can't wait to go back to the gym. And you're happy with this. I remember it. That was one of my key points after the fight. I was slagging him off saying, what do you mean you're happy? What do you mean you hope the fans had a good time, had a good show? And that's when I really started taking a step back on the things I've said about Wilder. Because I'm like, you know what? If as a fan, yeah, I'd rather be in Wilder's camp where he's wilding out and pissed off. Yeah. I'd rather be in that camp where he's lost the plot and he's doing some things that are a bit disrespectful. Like, for example, when he got smoked, he didn't want to shake Fury's hand. Yeah, it's not what I'd ideally do, but actually I've been there myself. I told you the other day, when I've lost races before, I wish the guy was dead. Obviously, in the heat of it, I wish he'd drop dead right there. You know what I mean? If the guy could drop dead for me to put my hands on the thing first, I feel like, yeah, I'd have taken it at the time. You know what I'm saying? One of them ones. And I'm nowhere near their level. But, so I'm just like, this guy about, we're really happy and I'm really had a great show, and it's just all a bit odd. I don't need to hear AJ happy. He been happy. That's not been the problem. It's not as if you can say, well, AJ's been renowned for mental health issues and he's been depressed and all that kind of stuff. And in which case, yeah, if depression was part of the reason AJ kept losing, I'd get it. Well, he happy. It's been because he isn't happy, he's been losing. That's not what it's been. Being happy is part of the reason he keep getting smoked, in my opinion. He too happy-go-lucky. He too friendly. Trying to be friends with everyone having ass. That's Johnson in a bucket. Yeah, honestly, if someone say a sentence about Anthony Johnston, I'd say he wanted to be friends with everyone. He trying to be everyone's friend. That's what it is. Ruiz give belts. Loses to Ruiz, gives belts to use. It's like, okay, no. What are we doing here? It was weird the first time. You keep playing the same game. So, super weird thing. But anyway, man, listen. The fight's on. Some people said he wouldn't take the fight. I knew he would take the fight because there's nowhere else to go, and he loved money. Yeah. And I'm not impressed with his team. I think AJ's got as bad of a team as he ever had. I think Robert Garcia is as bad as Rob McCrappen. That's just how I feel. AJ hasn't made any additions, and to be honest, AJ's got Fernando Alonso now heading his team up. And for me, again, that's as bad as anyone else. I'm not going to sit here and cap. If it was a team I felt something about, I said the other day, I'd rather AJ be with Tunde, to be quite frank. Yeah, because Anthony Yard lost to Queen Arthur and showed he was able to turn it round. Robert Garcia, from what I've seen, hasn't shown he's been able to turn anyone around. Fernando Alonso, AJ's head trainer, hasn't proved nothing. Ever since he came on the scene, AJ's got worse. Facts. Fernando's the one who came along and had AJ doing all this backing up, dancing around, galloping rubbish. That's where he learnt that from. And I've been saying from the jump, Tony Sims is the only good part of AJ. That's another thing he should have done. AJ should have gone back to Tony Sims, to be quite honest with you. Look at Tony Sims' camp. Conor Ben, the Welsh lad, they're on form. That's what you want to do, and you know that works as well. AJ's best fights were under Tony Sims. Tony Sims is all of them early fights. And then he left and it was Rob. And Rob and Fernando, that's when the declines come. Yeah? And Robert Garcia, he isn't that kind of troubleshooter. He's not the kind of guy I'd bring in. Like I said, there's certain names I'd have rather have had in there than them two cats. So I don't know. And we're going to find out anyway. AJ said he's happy and I'm so dangerous, I'm so happy. Fair play to you. We're going to find out though, aren't we? We're going to find out if it's all bullshit. And if it's not, I'll come on here and say, man, fair play to the guys. Honestly, if Team Johnston pull it out the bag, I'm going to salute them and say I was wrong. You man, I ain't got no ego. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll be the first one to admit it. But I've heard some weird things coming out of the camp. I've heard Robert Garcia saying, oh, he's 6'6" and he needs to use his attributes. I'm like, we've just been down this road. We've just been there. We've been there. You thinking you're taller and trying to outbox. It didn't work. Oh, AJ's 6'6" and he doesn't want to be hunched over and he doesn't want to be walking forward. He needs to. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, he's 6'6" and powerful. And for me, the height's irrelevant. If you're 6'6", you bend your knees a bit, put your gut elbows in, and walk forward, and pick heavy shots. And the worst thing is, the game plan's there. Go and watch AJ versus Parker. Big strong jab, going forward at all times. AJ versus Parker, yeah. AJ goes forward the whole time. He takes a few tactical half steps back to kind of whenever Parker would commit, he'd take a half step back. That was at the most. You would never see AJ galloping around at a range. These times he'd be galloping. And it's them little things. That's the influence of Tony Sims. Tony Sims creates fighters they're dialed in. Yeah, they don't need to gallop. Galloping away is a low level thing. Yeah, when you gallop miles out of range, that's what you do when you're scared and you've got low IQ trainers. Dialed in is that kind of half step and counter and pulling, you know what I mean? All that kind of where it's by inches. That's what you need to do. You need to, the idea of the game is to make your opponent miss by inches so you're in a position to counter. Disengaging and galloping off, the stuff that Fernando's been imposing on AJ, he don't need that. Yeah? That is the most basic. They're the things you get taught in one of the first sessions in boxing. Yeah, you get taught how to gallop. It's a drill more than anything. Yeah, to gallop round the ring, warm your legs up. That's what that's for. Team AJ be relying on it. Go watch the Pulev fight. Yeah, relying on or focusing on all the wrong things. Who gives a if you can gallop? Put your elbows in and dig away. That's what we want to see. That's what the fans want to see. And ultimately, yeah. However the fight does go, all I'll say to Johnson is, you're finished. it's not even about winning. If you go in there, yeah, and you mosh away and lose, there is room for you in this sport, because you can say, well, as long as you land a few big shots, people can say, well, he's got the fire back, but yeah, that's my point. I just want to see Usyk tested. Maybe we're going to find out, yeah, that Usyk is some slick ace, where AJ's in there moshing away and he's able to slip and slide and piece AJ up. If that's the case, so be it. But I'm not being funny, we saw what Chisora did. Chisora went in there and clowned Usyk, in my opinion. Usyk looked like a bedraggled rat in there. He was sweating, obviously, but he was gassed. He was like proper nervy, twitchy, jitty about what Chisora was doing with him. That's just what it is, people. Usyk was not comfortable in there with Chisora. He looked like he'd been shocked with some serious power, and that's how it's supposed to be at heavyweight. And that's one of the reasons I went with AJ. I thought, well, if Chisora can go 50-50 with Usyk, and he's shot and don't train, it's gonna be a joke for AJ. And I mean, go back and watch the 6th or 7th round. The worst thing is, AJ put off a few right uppercuts to the body, yeah, and Usyk again looked like he'd seen a ghost. And at that point, I started getting gas, saying, yeah, the tables are turning. AJ threw 1 or 2 hooks, uppercuts to the body. Usyk looked like he'd seen a ghost. And that's all AJ ever did after that. There was no follow-up. Just imagine, yeah, what it'd be like if AJ in there, tight hands, walking forward and just winging big uppercuts and big hooks. And that's what I think the strategy should be. I don't even think you need to focus on the jab anymore. F the jab, to be quite frank. Get your guard in tight and just start moshing forward. Step, slip, whip, simple as that. Banging big combinations, heaps of cardio, a whole tank of cardio, and just go in there, accept you're going to get hit, and hit him back. Every single time he hits you, hit him back two times more. That's enough. If I was in AJ's camp, that's what we'd be training. I'd be telling him, you are going to get hit, you are going to be in a war, it's going to be hard, you ain't going to want to push on, and you'll have to push on. All these things is that's what a great trainer does. Yeah, not just in there playing touch, but in the park. You need to psychologically train your athlete as well. Explain to them ain't it all roses. These guys, these new age guys, yeah, they want, or I'm not even blaming just the trainers, the fighters as well. The fighters and the trainers, they both love whispering sweet nothings. AJ wants to be told at night, oh AJ, you're so good that you don't need to have hard fights. You're so good, you can just run around and win anyway. That's what they've been telling him. Oh AJ, you need longevity in the game, so we've got a special program where we can... No, it's going to be hard work. Yeah, you're going to be hit. You're going to want to quit. 100%. But that's the only way you win this fight. You tried the fanny in a way, it don't work. Didn't work for you. You ain't got the IQ. Oops. You had all the... Listen AJ, you had all the advantages. Speed, power, height, weight, and still you got schooled. So forget about that running around crap. Yeah, that's what you want to do. Dig in. And if you don't dig in, you're finished. Bottom line. And the odds are you are finished. That's the bottom line. And the thing is, the great thing about this fight is, I'm going to bet after the first round. I'm going to see the first round and we'll know. We'll definitely after the first round, we're going to know what's what here, in my opinion. Because it's pretty simple. Either in the first round, we see AJ not taking a back step. Go back and watch Canelo versus Triple G. In that fight, Canelo made a decision in camp. I ain't going back this fight. The first fight, he got backed up and lost, in my opinion. But the second fight, he came out and actively refused to go backwards and turn Triple G into the boxer. AJ needs to have that same attitude. I am not going back. If Usyk wants to come forward, I'm tucking up and I'll sit on his chest and I'll wing away with him. He's going backwards the whole night. That's what AJ's team need to be preparing him for. Prepare to dig in. Literally, I'll be telling AJ, we ain't going back. Get used to not going backwards. We just ain't. Bottom line, we're not going backwards and we're going to match him with whatever he brings. If he throws a right hand, we'll throw a right hand with him. If he throws a hook, we'll throw a hook with him. Simple as that. No messing about. There's no fiddling around. We tried that fiddling around crap and we lost all of our belts and went out super sad in front of our hometown. Yeah? But anyway, the fight's on now. I'm glad the date's in. pretty much 9 weeks from now. I mean, I'd love for AJ to come back, because imagine that, AJ versus Fury. I don't want, to be honest, yeah, if most people won't believe AJ's got a prayer of outboxing Usyk, but I'm telling you now, I hope AJ doesn't win a boxing match, or I hope he doesn't win on points, because, well, if he wins on points, yeah, because he's battered Usyk up and down the ring, that's different, but I'd hate for AJ to win the fight being able to box. Now, most of you will laugh and say it's impossible, but I'm just saying, if there was a way, I hope he gets knocked out doing that. Because if he don't, he'll go in there, fiddle around with Usyk, get the win, and then the Fury fight will come on, and he'll just get schooled. The only way I really want to see the Fury versus AJ fight, yeah, is if AJ really has dug in, and he's looking like a wrecking ball again. That's when the fight's like, damn, that's an interesting fight. There ain't no interest otherwise. Yeah? There's no way AJ gonna outbox, even if he was able to outbox Usyk. He ain't outboxing Fury. And I wouldn't want to see it anyway. Who wants to watch that? No one does. So AJ, I mean, I said to people, if I was training AJ, yeah, I'd have told him, listen, do you really want this? Are you prepared to get your head punched in? If you're not, you've got plenty of coin, go sit down somewhere and retire. Have Team AJ had the conversation with him? I doubt it. They all want the checks coming in. But that's the reality of the situation here. How much do you, because guess what? It's not as if you've shown anything like that. Yeah, we just saw you in there with Usyk. You didn't really want it like that. Oops. That's not cap now. That's no cap in here. You didn't want it. You said you wanted it, but you didn't, did you? In what round did AJ show in the 12 rounds? Which one did he show he wanted it? None. There was none in there you can say, YB, watch round 6. He really, no, none of them. So that's the question now. And even in the Pulev fight, really, he didn't show he wanted it in any of them rounds either. That's God's honest truth. In not one round, I guess maybe the second round, but Pulev was useless anyway. Nothing was coming back. It's easy to look hard against a man not throwing back. And then guess what? When AJ couldn't get rid of him in round 2 or 3, took 8 rounds to recover. It's like, fucking hell. So that's the question here. Are you happy not boxing? Because I think he is. I think AJ happy not to box. I think he's doing it because, I mean, if you could get paid $30 million, yeah, to have a sparring session, you'd be doing it too. I just think it's a shame for the sport. People should know and not take this piss out of the sport. Just because you can, don't mean you should. Yeah, I can make 30 million and have a sparring session. That means, no, respect the sport and say, you know what, I know I'm psychologically finished. Let me sit down somewhere and not piss the YB off. That's what you should be doing now. Have his team had this conversation with him? We don't know. I hope they have. I mean, I'm praying that they have. I'm praying that he really does really want this. He can put tweets out and talk about free time. I'll believe it when I see it. And we'll know, in my opinion, we'll know after the first round. I'll know if AJ's going to win after the first round. Because it should be pretty evident. His feet should be heavy and he should be ploughing forward. No back steps. And that's the key for me. Watch the fight. If we see AJ going backwards and God forbid galloping backwards in the first round, it's over for him. There should be none of that. And the thing is, AJ wasn't doing that before. Before 2018, 2019, AJ wasn't doing the whole galloping thing. I'd never seen him galloping his whole career. Anyway, let's see what happens.